With each and every new season that comes around, there are brand new anime filled with surprises left and right. It is almost impossible to watch every new seasonal anime that comes out, but there are always those new anime seasons to your favorite show in particular, and or new shows that come out that you can't wait to watch. For me, it's always been hard to find something new to watch nowadays. I just personally can't get over the fact that the older generation of anime is so much better than the generation we currently have. But then again, we do always have at least one or two new series that come along that always take the cake, in terms of a solid new anime to watch. Now, in this video, I wanted to put together a top 10 anime of all time, or best top 10 anime of all time, of course in my personal opinion, so don't get on my ass in the comments down below. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm gonna get destroyed. So without further ado, let's get straight into the top 10 best anime of all time. Coming in at number 10, we have Hunter x Hunter. Okay, I can already see you guys going down straight to the comments and typing, oh my god, how could you put Hunter x Hunter so low? Unsub, blah 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 blah. Okay, just hear me out. Hunter x Hunter to me was something that I found really interesting and gave me a lot of Naruto vibes as a kid when I first watched it. Now, don't get me wrong, Hunter x Hunter had some of the most hype and dramatic scenes in all of anime, and I will take that to the grave. But for some reason, I just can't put this series any higher on my list from my perspective. Maybe later down the line when Togashi decides to bring back hiatus x hiatus in the manga, I could see myself putting Hunter x Hunter higher on this list, but for now we're gonna keep it at the number 10 spot. Next up on the list we have Boruto.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
I mean Naruto, god no, not Boruto, I meant Naruto. Now, Naruto has always been something I kept close to heart as an anime watcher growing up. It's always been something I saw as a gateway anime to someone who was looking into anime but not sure if they would like it or not. Naruto has so many nostalgic moments within the series that I can't even count how many they are. And just to mention, I am including both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden as one. But if we are picking and choosing here, OG Naruto over Naruto Shippuden. That's final.
Now you're chasing clout.
Moving forward, we have Death Note, taking my number 8 spot on my list. Most of these anime I picked, to be honest, are mainly just based off my true experience I'd had with them as a kid. I chose Death Note to be my number 8 because starting off my journey of anime as a kid, this one was the first, if not the first, psychological anime I came into contact with. Death Note fully had my gasp of attention into the series. I would always ask myself, is it possible for L to catch Kira? Typically, for the most part, I never took my eyes off the show and binged it a couple times and absolutely loved it each and every time. This is why Death Note deserves my number 8 spot on this list. Okay, next up is another one of my personal favorites, and actually, as I mentioned within the intro, that this right here is one of the gems in terms of the new generation of anime. Now, I also know that the manga has been out for a while now, and I think if I'm not mistaken, the manga has been out for 15 years now. But anyways, Vinland Saga to me has never kept me so cultivated and thrilled to watch a fight in anime, especially in a short amount of episodes of just 24. As of right now, not to mention the absolute monsters they have as characters throughout the show. We have Thor, for example, who just in the first episode was already slaying out the whole damn sea with his sword, as well as Thorkel, who in itself is a literal tank. I mean, the man is so huge he could probably stack 4 people together just to fill a ball in his size. Oh, and yeah, I almost forgot the main protagonist himself, Thorfinn, who in my opinion has some of the craziest character development in anime. So if you have not watched Vinland Saga yet, I highly suggest you do. This next one on the list doesn't really define obliterating people like in Vinland Saga, unless you're talking about obliterating someone on the court. You guys might know what this series is. Yup, you guessed it, it's haikyuu. Now, this might come to a surprise to most of you, but I really love volleyball. But I don't love it too much to play the sport competitively, but I love to watch it. Haikyuu was something that quickly breached into my top 10 after seeing how well sports anime is done. I absolutely fell in love with the fact that it does not matter if you love the sport or not. Haikyuu makes you fall in love with the characters and how they play the sport. Especially within Haikyuu, it's not at all based around the main character and its rival. It's more based around every character that the main character comes into contact with. Literally 90% of the characters in the show all have personality and I have a connection with the audience. And those are just some of the core features on why I put Haikyuu at the number 6 spot on my list. Moving on to the number 5 spot on this list, we have The Promised Neverland. And with only 12 episodes in the anime as of right now, The Promised Neverland's plot, characters, world, just everything about it had me so cultivated into watching the next episode. I've never seen myself so captured into a new generation anime, so much that it almost blew my mind away. You'll see when I tell you as I move down the line on this top 10 that it has almost been 6 years since I was so cultivated into a show. Immediately right after I had read the manga to find out what happens next. It was every episode that had me on my toes, and by the end of the episode I was like, what? I mean, to put it simply, The Promised Neverland was something I could only experience once in a lifetime. Like I said before, I mainly based this this list off my true experience I've had with the anime itself. And honestly, if this anime had more episodes within the first season, I honestly would have to put this anime higher on the list, and this isn't even an exaggeration. Alright, so I know this one is gonna upset most of my subscribers watching this video, and the number 4 spot on this list goes to Bleach. Bleach was honestly the last anime I watched out of the big 3, and already off the bat I fell in love with how many more likable characters there are than in Naruto. The story of Bleach is amazing, and I love how some arcs aren't too long and they get straight to the point. Bleach, in my opinion, also has the best character designs within the big 3, and so it helped my attention span with the anime, if you know what I mean. All jokes aside, I really do love Bleach. I love pretty much everything about the series as a whole. I found the whole series funny and entertaining. I honestly think with a critic standpoint and a writer standpoint that the author Tite Kubo could have potentially give us longer fights within the series, especially Ichigo's fight with Aizen. Maybe if that was the case, Bleach would have taken my number 3 or maybe number 2 spot, if that. Moving on to the top 3 of this list, coming in number 3 is a series I briefly mentioned before within my channel once before, and that is of course JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, JoJo is something that I actually started quite late, and I believe I started it back when part 4 was airing, but dropped it fairly quickly, mainly because of the art style and not caring about the characters. Boy, was I wrong about both of those things. JoJo, just like most anime on this list, skyrocketed to my top 10 just after part 3. Once I picked the show back up, I started to realize the true beauty that both characters and the artwork had to offer. I started to deeply fall in love with the color correlation that JoJo brought to the table. It took some time, but JoJo really fell onto me like a rolling stone. If you haven't already watched or read JoJo's, I highly suggest you do both. The series is phenomenal and not gay at all. I just had to put that out there because it really isn't. People just say it is, but you know the gist if you watch or read JoJo. But seriously, check out JoJo. It's a little bizarre, but I'm sure it will grow on you. Next up on the list, we have a true anime in itself, Attack on Titan. Now, I've mentioned this in the past in some of my previous videos, that Attack on Titan was one of the gateway anime I had as a kid. Having Attack on Titan as one of those few specific anime, it was very interesting to see how things would play out. It's really hard to explain, but I have had this feeling with only a couple of shows now, one of those being The Promised Neverland, which I've mentioned earlier on this list. But the feeling is something more or less cultivating into something that I literally had to find myself looking at and searching the whole internet to find out what happens next. If Attack on Titan in your own opinion is too gory for you, then honestly I don't know what to say. The story itself is outstanding, the characters, the world building, and just everything about Attack on Titan is wonderful, and yet it has a psychological adventure. So if you ever have the time and have not watched or read even Attack on Titan, please do yourself a favor and watch it. Trust me, you're in for a treat, a human one at that. And finally, taking home the number 1 spot on my list of the top 10 best anime of all time, we have One Piece. I've definitely mentioned this before, and when I say it, I really mean it. One Piece is and forever will be the best series in all of anime and manga, and I will take that to the grave. And I know what many of you guys are thinking. The pacing in One Piece is absolute garbage. To me personally, if I enjoy a series enough, then pacing doesn't really matter to me. If anything, it benefits myself as a watcher. One Piece just in general, when we look at it from a perspective of someone who has no context in the show whatsoever, it is really cool and interesting to take that person on a journey that has so much detail along the way and so much history to go along with it. And of course, nothing is perfect. One Piece does have some flaws that I can admit myself that make the show worse than what it can actually be, but as a whole, from the plot, the characters, and especially the world building, there is so much to One Piece than what meets the eye. I wanted to let you guys know that if you ever wanted to find an anime that could give you all those things but better, then watch and or read One Piece, because honestly, I know this video is about the top 10 anime of all time, but both the anime and the manga for One Piece is absolutely amazing. They're both a beautiful and just a journey in itself. And honestly, you would be doing yourself a favor just by watching and or reading the GOAT One Piece. And that about wraps it up for the top 10 anime of all time. I feel like with each and every single one of these anime that they hold a special place within me, and without them, I don't know what the gap would be filled with. These anime in particular hold a very special place in my heart that I am forever so grateful for, and I'm just glad that they all exist. Anyways, everybody, that is going to be it for the video. I really do appreciate if you managed to make it this far, and if you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like on the video and comment down below what is your favorite anime. With that, everyone, my Twitter is @AnimeAugie, and my name is Augie, and I will catch each and every single one of you guys in the next video. Peace.